Hello. Before we listen to Reb Nasson Miamon explain this Torah in Baba Basra, Ayin Gimel Amud Beis, of Rabba of Hana, what inspired me to look at it all of a sudden? Now, I heard from Sfichesh and Shiabari this perush about Savrin and Yaveshta. The Ketzer Nimrods. The story is they were traveling on a boat, Rabba of Hana, and they saw a fish, and on the fish was in the yam, and sand had settled on it, and in the sand a swamp of reeds growing on it. So Rabba of Hana thought, this is dry land. That's what it looked like. So they went up on the dry land, and they baked and cooked. And then when it got hot from baking and cooking, it was a fish. It turned over, and they would have drowned, except the boat was nearby. Now, I'm going to say now, which I heard from Rosh Hashanah, from the yakov, who wrote a commentary on the goddess of the Shas, written by yakov, Rav Yaakov of Lissa, who was at the time, he was a Chaver Yadid from the Chasam Sofer. His years, here it's written, 1770 to 1832. The Rebbe was born in 1772. Mamash, a time twin of the Rebbe. Now he said like this: before the coming of the Mashiach, Israel, that's the sailors, the ones that are on the boat, they lift themselves up above the other nations, that's the fish, and they think, we've made it. We have a Medina already, Savrin and Yaveshta, and they'll start baking and cooking on the fish's back. And we're a nation among the nations. But once they start doing this, the fish's back gets hot, and it's going to turn over. And the nations will not allow the Yidden, us, to have a Medina. And if the boat, and then the Rabba Baruch Hana continues, the boat wasn't nearby, we would have drowned. And this is right before the redemption. The boat is the redemption. And the fish turned over and they would have drowned. But the Gula was coming near. Now this is Mama Shaykh today. And now we'll hear Rav Nasson Miamon, Shiabari, explain the story. And look in the comments, I'll give you a few words here. This is Zagas and Kotov.
Give us a summary of this whole torah in a fantastic story that Rabba Baruch Hana told. And this is really beautiful, it's easy, the story is easy, and the way Rabbeinu explains it is easy, so pay attention. Let's see if we can complete this in tonight's shir. Rabbeinu says, Omar Rabba Baruch Hana, the Gemara says in Baba Basra, Rabba Baruch Hana once related, I was once riding in a ship, the Chazinon Hahu Kavra, and we saw a huge fish, a very large fish, the Yasvale Chosa Agabe, which had a large amount of sand on its back. The Kodach Agma Iluye, and there was grass and vegetation growing within this sand. So if you picture a huge whale that's tremendously large, and the whale happens to have a large pile of dirt on its back, and on the dirt is growing grass and trees or whatever it is. Savrinon Yabeshtahi. Rabba Baruch Hana said, we only saw the top of this. So to us, this looked like an island. This looked like dry land. Therefore, we went up on this, we got off the ship, and we mounted this island, what would appear to be an island to us. Va'afinon, and we started baking there. Uvashlinon, we started cooking there. Agabe, on the back of this fish, the kadcham, and when it started getting hot, when the fires started catching, and this fish started feeling the heat, he decided to cool off. How does the fish cool off its back? It simply flips over. Gabe dishapich, it turned its back over, it reversed itself. The elav to have a mekarvel of sinta, and it's not for the fact that our boat, our ship, was very close by. Have a tavinon, we would have drowned. Interesting story. Look in the Rashbam. Again, the Gemara of Basra in this section does not have Rashi on it. In place of Rashi, we have Rashbam. There was a pile of sand or dirt gathered on the back of this huge fish. And there was grass growing within this sand. We thought this was dry land. We thought this was one of the small islands in the ocean. This is the story as Rabba Bar Hana presented it. Now Rabbeinu Zal gives his explanation, his interpretation of this story based on what we learned so far in this torah. This is what Rabba Bar Hana said. We saw this huge fish. Rabbeinu Zal explains now. He gives a short intro. Now that we the Yidden find ourselves in Golus, Hashem is hidden from us. It's as if Hashem is hiding his face from us. He has turned his face away from us. As the Pasuk says, you, Hashem, have chosen to hide your face from us. The ponim of Hashem represents the kindness of Hashem. And Hashem has turned his back to us, the back of his neck. Din. That's the concept of din. The Sifrei Kabbalah say that when Paroi was chasing after the Yidden, he said, Erdoif, I will chase after them. Asig, I will reach them. Achalik Sholo, and I'll beat the Yidden, I'll defeat the Yidden, and I'll divide up the booty. The Arizal says, what is Achalik Sholo? Sholo, Shin Lamed Lamed, is the gematria 360, which is twice Ponim. The word Ponim is the gematria 180, Pei Nun Yud Mem. Twice Ponim is the gematria 360, which is Sholo. When Hashem is in love with the Yidden, when Hashem is happy with the Yidden, and he's showing the Yidden a kind face, Kaviyachol, Hashem's relationship with us is face to face. We have our eyes turned towards Hashem, and Kaviyachol, Hashem is facing us. Then there's this ponim. The two ponims are facing each other. Paroi said, Achalik Sholo. I will separate, I will create a period between the Sholo, between this ponim. Through my arousing din, through my causing the Yidden to be judged harshly, negatively, I will separate, I will destroy this ponim. Paroi represents ha'oref. The Arizal says the word paroi is the oisius ha'oref, because he represents this symbol of din that's reflected in the back of the neck. When we say somebody doesn't like somebody, when he sees that person, he looks the other way. He turns his back to him. That's a sign of din, that I certainly don't want to show any warmth, any kindness to that person. The whole tefillah, Rabbeinu says, now that we're in Golus, our whole tefillah, our whole tefillah and bakosha from Hashem is, regarding the fact that we feel sorry and terrible about the fact that Hashem has turned his back on us. And in our tefillah, we beg Hashem that he should turn his face to us once again. As the Pasuk says, Pnei Elai v'choneni. Hashem Pnei Elai, turn towards me, meaning face me. Yoel Hashem ponov elecho. May Hashem show you the light of his face, not the darkness of the back of his head. The oil is on the ponim. The oil represents the choshech here. And when the Yidden see how long this golus is stretching, and every single day we scream to Hashem, and we're not being helped. There are those among Klal Yisrael who make a mistake in their hearts. They start thinking, who knows? Maybe Chas v'Shalom, all of this tefillah is baloney. Maybe it's not really helping at all because we don't see anything happening from it. We don't see any tangible results. But Rabbeinu Zal says the truth is that these people are wrong. The truth is that the tefillos of all the Yidden in each and every single generation, the tzaddikim in those generations elevate the tefillah, and they give these tefillos a klima. They give these tefillos a standing effect. Moshe Rabbeinu erected the Mishkan. So too the tzaddikim erected these tefillos into a binyan. And these tzaddikim put each and every single board in its proper place. And they develop the structure of the Shekhinah a little bit at a time. Until the full structure of the Shekhinah will be completed. And that's when Mashiach is going to come. Moshiach is Moshe Rabbeinu, the Zohar Kodesh says, V'yashlim oiso, and he'll put the finishing touch on this. V'yokim oiso b'shleimus, and he will complete this 100%. Now the Zohar Kodesh explains, why does this have to take such a long time? Why does this have to take generations and generations and so many millions of tefillos and so many thousands of tzaddikim? The Zohar Kodesh says this is all because of Adam Rishon. The Zohar Kodesh says if Adam Rishon would not have eaten from the Eitz Hadas, and if Adam Rishon would have said his tefillah at the time that he was supposed to and done everything he was supposed to, with his single tefillah, everything would have had a tikkun. Everything would have fallen into place. The whole bria would have been nishkan, and everything would have been kitikunoi. As a result of the pigama, the Eitz Hadas, the Zohar Kodesh says this caused such bilbula, such destruction, that it's going to take hundreds of generations and thousands of people and hundreds of tzaddikim to work for years and years and lifetimes to be able to fix, to be able to correct the pigam that was affected within the Shekhinah, within the Komas HaShekhinah. The Zeh Pirush, Rabbeinu Zal says, now let's explain the story line by line. Chazino Lahai Kavra. Rabbi Bar Bachona said, I saw this huge fish. Hu Bechinas Tzadik Hadoer. The Kavra represents the Tzadik of the generation. Hanikra Dog. Tzadikim are called fish. Rav Nosson Zal showed the Sefer Ma'orei Oyer, one of the Sefer Kabbalah, which shows that the word dog, the symbol of tzaddik, is the fish. Why? There are several reasons that are given for this. The Zohar Kodesh quotes the pasuk V'yidgu l'roiv, V'yidgu b'digas hayom. There's one pasuk V'yidgu l'roiv b'kerav haaretz, but the Zohar Kodesh quotes the pasuk in the beginning of Bereshit V'yidgu b'digas hayom, referring to the tzaddik, the tzaddik coming down among the other tzaddikim and leading them. This is the analogy that the Zohar Kodesh says about this. Dogim, the Gemara says that tzaddikim are compared to fish in two respects. Just as a fish cannot live out of water, so too tzaddikim cannot live outside of torah. Their whole life is the torah. Just as dogim, the Gemara says meat, poultry, chicken, and meat is eaten b'shchita. It must be shechted before it can be eaten. Whereas fish, the Gemara says asifoson zui shchitoson, that just simply gathering them in, that's their shchita. They don't require any shchita. We talk about gathering in the fish, that's their tikkun. This term asifa, we find by tzaddikim. When tzaddikim passed away, the Pasuk says vayigva vayosef el amod. He was gathered into his people. So this same term asifa that's used about fish is used also about tzaddikim. So we see that the fish is the symbol of the tzaddik. That's the concept of Moshe Rabbeinu, Moshiach, who represents the leading tzaddikim. The tzaddik has this sand, these thousands of grains of sand on him. This refers to all the tefillos. No, it says he had this sand on his back. This refers to the tefillos. Agabe means also because of the back. This refers to the thousands of the tefillos that the Yidden are being misfalel because Hashem has turned his back on us. Agabe, because of Gabe. Because Hashem's back is turned to us. Therefore we keep piling on this sand, these tefillos. Yosfolei, they was resting. So these tefillos were sitting on this fish. This represents the concept of the Yidden bringing the ingredients, their tefillos, to the tzaddik. The Yidden bringing all the ingredients of the Mishkan to Moshe Rabbeinu. Because the person must bring his tefillah and attach it to the tzaddik hadoyer. Rabbeinu Zal says, "V'kodach alei agmot." The Gemara says, and there was grass growing on this sand. There was something else attached here. Hainu haneshamois haboimim hatfilah. This refers to the torah that a person learns, lishma v'lasos, where the oisiyas haTorah represent nitzutei neshamois, and these nitzutei neshamois join the tefillah. They enter into the tefillah, b'chinas desulois achrei reyuseho, as we quoted that pasuk earlier. Ki haneshamois heinikoen asabin. The question is, what's the connection between the grass and the neshamois? Rabbeinu Zal says, we know that neshamois are compared to grass. Hashem says, I have made the Yidden plentiful like the tzemach hasodah, like the grasses of the field. So we see that the Jewish neshamois are compared to these grasses. We know also, Rabbeinu Zal brings in Torah Samachay and Likutey later on, that the tzaddik is called the Baal hasodah, the master of the field. He's the caretaker of these thousands of neshamois, which are represented by these blades of grass. The savrinon yabeshtahi, and we saw all of this, and we thought it was dry. Hainu shehatfilos einom oisim peros. We thought that the tefillos were not moist; they weren't wet. Wet represents productivity, something alive, something that's growing. When something is dried out, it's dead. That's the symbol of being dead. So we thought that the tefillos were doing nothing. Avol be'emes einoi came. But the truth is not like that. El salkinon ba'afinon ubashlinon. Hainu kol hatfilos salkinon. All of these tefillos salkinon v'oilim. They go up. L'salik means to rise up. V'chol mashemar b'mitzvila nivna shchina b'yoser. And the more that the Yidden increase their tefillos, the more they increase the quantity and the quality of their tefillos. Umechina nivna hashchina b'yoser. The Shechina is built up more and more. Umechina es atzmo lezivug, and the Shechina prepares itself for zivug, for uniting itself with Kudshe B'richu, with Hashem Kaviyachol. Again, in the Sifrei Kabbalah, we are given a picture as if there was a male and female aspect of Hashem Kaviyachol. It has nothing to do with anything physical, chas v'chalila. This is simply a concept, a terminology referring to the midos of Hashem. Chesed is a symbol of Zohar, Gevura, Din is a symbol of Nekeva. That's the concept. But in any case, we discuss the concept of a yichud between the Shekhinah and Kudshe B'richu, between the female attribute with the male attribute, these two being merged together. So Rabbeinu Zal says, the more we increase our tefillos, the more we build up the Shekhinah, and the Shekhinah prepares herself for a zivug with Kudshe B'richu. This is why the terms baking and cooking are used. Because these are preparations for eating. Baking and cooking represent the preparation for achila. The word achila in Hebrew means physically eating. The word achila also represents zivug, the mating between husband and wife. Rabbeinu Zal says, baking and cooking are preparation for eating, which is the concept of zivug. The pasuk says that Yosef, Potiphar, gave Yosef HaTzadik the complete rule of his home. He gave him control over his home, except for the bread that he ate, except for the bread that Potiphar ate. The Gemara says, Rashi says, that this refers to his own wife. That this is a lashon hakir, a nice way of referring to his wife, his own wife, with whom he made it. So we see that achila is also a term of zivug. And when the Shechina will be completely built up, through the large quantity, through the multitude of tefillos, yichmeru rachmor, the kindness of Hashem will be aroused, and Hashem's din, harshness, will be converted to kindness. This is what the pasuk means when it says when things warmed up. This doesn't mean warming up in a bad way. This means a warmth of chesed, of kindness. When the kindness of Hashem will be aroused. Note interestingly that the words kadcham are begematria chesed. Exactly. This is not something I heard from Rebbe, something that looks obvious. I hope it's not something wrong. The next thing we're going to say is something that I did hear from our Rebbe, which is a fantastic chiddush. Kadcham hainu kashich, morachmo when the kindness of Hashem is aroused. Gabe is hapich. The back of the fish was turned around. Kaviyochel, the back of Hashem reverses his position. Hainu sheyitzhapich midas hadin la midas harachnim. The midas hadin of Hashem gets converted to midas harachnim. Of the midas of Hashem, which ones represents din? There are three of them: Gevura, Bina, and Hoid. Those three represent din. Gabe is hapich. Gabe is spelled with a yud sometimes. In the Gemara, if you take a look, it's written without a yud. The word gabe can be spelled gimel beis hey. Rebbe now said that this is maramis on these three series. Gevura, Bina, and Hoid. The midas hadin of Hashem will flip around, will turn over. And if not for the fact that we were close to the ship, we would have drowned. Now Rabbeinu is also express a very, very important yitzhak in Yiddishkeit and in Tefillah. Rabbeinu says, Hainu lemani esezois. Hashem says, don't be big shots. Don't think that it's your tefillos and your mitzvahs and your zechusim for which I'm going to treat you kindly, for which I helped you, for which I love you. Baloney. Hashem says, lemani, it's for my own self, for myself. I do it for my own reasons, for my own personal nachas. It's not that you're so good that you deserve to be rewarded, that you didn't deserve to be treated the way Hashem treats them. Hashem says, lemani, esezois. It's for myself that I do it, meaning that when a year davens and davens and davens, after all his davening, when he sees that Hashem gives him what he was asking for, it's wrong for the person to say, I davened and I got it. Otherwise, he's taking too much of the credit for himself, and that could lead to a gaiva, and that could puncture his tefillah, and it could puncture his success. Rabbeinu Zal says that when Hashem gives you what you've been davening for, you're supposed to take on an attitude, Hashem is so kind to me. I know that I don't really deserve this. I know that it's only the kindness of Hashem and the goodness of Hashem to which I owe a thanks, to which I got this. Not that I should feel proud. Look, I davened and Hashem gave me what I wanted. But rather this other attitude. Because when a person does that, what happens is a person could fall into a gaiva and not continue to daven. And a person can be fooled into thinking he succeeded when his success was very tiny compared to the type of success that awaits this person if he continues to daven. He continues to struggle and always look for the chesed of Hashem, not look to credit himself, but always look to give the credit to Hashem, based on this concept of lemani esezois. That the Torah itself, Hashem says, don't be big. Don't think I'm giving you whatever I give you as in payment for what you've done. Because how dare you think you've done something for Hashem? Big shot. You did Hashem a big favor. You put a mezuzah on your door. Who gave you the door? Who gave you the house? Who gave you the plot of land? You put on tzitzis. Who gave you clothing? Who gave you money to buy the tzitzis? Who gave you a body? Who gave you everything? As Rabbeinu Zal can explain now. As the Medrash says, Mi hekdimani vashalim loy. Hashem says, Hashem makes an announcement. Anybody who thinks that I owe them anything, Hashem says, let them come and collect. Step forward, and I'll see if you're worthy of payment. Mi hekdimani. Who did something for Hashem before Hashem did something for that person? Mi osali mezuzah koydem shenasati lebayit. Which shoe put up a mezuzah before Hashem gave him a house onto which to put up the mezuzah? Nimsa. Therefore, what message is the Gemara trying to convey with this? Shekol ma'asim toivim shalanu v'chol ha'tfilos hakol meitoi. That with all the tfilos and with all the good deeds, all of it comes from Hashem anyway. Who gives us the strength to daven, the initiative, the desire, the cheshek? And with all the davening, after all the davening, who gives us what we're asking for? It's only Hashem. And therefore, a Jew should not really be looking for reward based on what he's done. He should be looking for Hashem to help him based on the kindness of Hashem. He's supposed to daven. He's supposed to daven a lot. He's supposed to daven very hard. But not to attribute the success to his tefillah as much as attributing it to the kindness of Hashem, to give the credit and the kavod to Hashem. The apal pishanira, and even though it seems to a degree that when Mashiach comes, he's going to come as a result of our tefillah and torah, Afal pikein srichem anachnu lechazdoi. Still, the Jews have to know that we have to come on to the kindness of Hashem. If Hashem ever decided to treat us fairly, it'd be all over for us, Chas v'shalom. If Hashem ever tried to treat us with justice, it would be the end. We daven and we try and we do mitzvahs and we struggle, and with all of that we realize that we still have to come on to the kindness of Hashem. We still need Hashem to bend over backwards to help us, to find it within Him to help us. And this is what the Gemara means when it says, if not for the fact that we were close to the ship, we would have drowned. Rabbi Nizal says, Sinta, the ship here, represents the kindness of Hashem. The Bechinas Chesed. K'maysham Razal, as the Gemara says, Hasafnin Ruban Chasidin. Sailors are usually very religious, the Gemara says. Because of the fact that they're out at sea, they're seamen, and they know that they're at the mercy of Hashem. They know all Hashem has to do is turn on the motor a little on that sea under them, and they can go flying right into the sky, or they can go flying right into the ocean. So the Gemara says they, by nature, are chasidim. They rely very much on the chesed of Hashem. They daven a lot. Sailors, by nature, are very quick to start screaming to Hashem, as we find in the story of Yoel Hanovi. Sailors, they were in a ship out at sea, a storm came up, and it looked like they were all going to drown. What did they do? Right away, each one of them started screaming to his Hashem. Even the goyim there, they started davening. Because Safin sailors are usually chassidim. They depend on this chesed. They realize this need for chesed. So Rabbi Nizal says, this is why even after we prepared our tefillos, even after we baked and cooked, which means we davened, we did everything we were supposed to do, still we realized that when we saw the fish turn over, when we finally saw Hashem give us this salvation, turn His face to us, we realized that were it not for the chesed of Hashem, He would not have done this. It's not that it's owed to us, that expression in Yiddish, Hashem doesn't owe us anything, but rather we credit any good that we get from Hashem to Hashem's kindness. Not to Hashem's fairness or justice, but rather to Hashem's kindness. Now Rabbi Nizal summarizes all of this in a short pasuk in the Chumash. Rabbi Nizal says, "V'zeh pirush